Today on CTV News at 5, a fugitive is captured. Police arrest Lethbridge's Tyler leader after a standoff in Rocky Mountain House. Plus, some bad news if you're running on empty. The price at the pump is soaring. And an inspector with the Lethbridge Regional Police Service gets up close and personal with tornadoes in Dallas.
CTV News with Kayla Carr.
Good afternoon. Tyler Darrell Leader is in custody today. He's the Lethbridge man police say is responsible for a string of crimes across Western Canada. Police finally caught up to Leader last night in Rocky Mountain House. Kevin Green reports.
The crime wave known as Tyler Darrell Leader came to an end here at the House Motel in Rocky Mountain House on Tuesday night. The Lethbridge man was wanted for armed robberies in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, and most recently for ramming a stolen truck into this police car in Irricana and injuring an RCMP officer. That truck was spotted in Rocky Mountain House and led to Leader's arrest.
We did receive a tip from the public at right around 8 p.m. last night. Within 8 minutes of receiving that tip, the RCMP members in Rocky Mountain House were able to locate the vehicle parked at the hotel that was involved in the original Irricana incident.
There was helicopters flying around for several hours.
Some neighbors of the motel in Rocky Mountain House were evacuated, others told to stay indoors as RCMP surrounded the building.
All of a sudden dogs and the cops wandering around here, and our other crew was on the other side there, and we knew that something was going on.
Once police established contact with Leader, it took a negotiator 45 minutes to coax him from the suite. Police say Leader trashed his motel room in what appears to be an attempt to eliminate evidence.
There was some indication that maybe evidence from previous crimes may have tried to be eliminated.
Leader's girlfriend, Samantha Bellimer, was also found in Rocky Mountain House. She was outside the motel near the truck when police arrived. Bellimer has been with Leader since last August when her family in Coaldale reported her missing. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
At the time of his arrest, Leader was on parole after serving time for a string of over 50 criminal offenses ranging from assault to possession of stolen property. A former Taber man charged with decade-old charges of sexual assault and sexual interference is on his way back to Canada. Police say the alleged crimes happened between 1995 and 2001 and involved two victims between the ages of 10 and 16. In February, 50-year-old Jordan Van Vutheusen was arrested in Greece. After an extradition hearing, he's now on his way back to Canada. The man lived in Taber for a number of years, and residents say he worked at a local hardware store. Police say Jordan Van Vutheusen was known to the victims. He's expected to arrive in Canada tonight and make his first court appearance in Lethbridge Provincial Court tomorrow afternoon. And Dory's here now with a first look at weather. Dory, that lovely winter weather we've been talking about all week is finally making its way to southern Alberta.
It really is, and the white stuff is making its way to southern Alberta as well. Already hearing reports of snow to the north of Lethbridge, particularly in the Calgary area and areas to the north of that. And that seems to be where the snow is really going to impact. There's an area in BC, and then it looks like right in the elbow of Alberta is where the highest concentration of snow is going to be. Here in Lethbridge, it looks like we'll be getting just showers, but of course all it's got to do is edge a little further east. Temperatures drop, we get some light snow, but right now it looks like we'll just see some showers. I'll have more in a couple of minutes.
Thanks very much, Dory. Funding for universities and colleges was front and center today in the provincial election campaign. PC leader Alison Redford began the day in Lethbridge, committing $19 million to a program aimed at supporting more rural medical students. But a few hours later, the New Democrats released figures showing the government has dramatically slashed advanced education funding over the past 3 years. Terry Vogt reports.
PC leader Alison Redford says a pilot project for half a dozen medical students at the University of Lethbridge is going to be expanded to more rural universities and colleges. The government hopes that'll help address the shortage of doctors in rural or remote communities.
And that's critical because it builds community. and it builds community across this province.
What an exciting, wonderful opportunity for our province. It wouldn't have happened without the leadership of our Premier.
The PC announcement was designed to provide a boost for Advanced Education Minister Greg Weddick, who's running for re-election in Lethbridge West. But while the government talks about expanding and investing, figures released by the Alberta New Democrat show a dramatic drop in post-secondary funding since 2009. Overall, advanced education budgets have dropped nearly 20% in the past 3 years. Operating grants have gone down 4.48%. NDP candidate Shannon Phillips says Weddick hasn't delivered at the cabinet table.
But the broader point for Lethbridge is that when we have cuts to post-secondary education in this town, it has very, very deep ramifications for our economy. We have a large number of people who depend on our post-secondary education for our education system for employment. And when those budgets drop, the economic multipliers in a city as small as ours are significant. And so we need an MLA at the table who's prepared to stand up for these vital public services like universities and colleges.
U of L President Mike Mann says the program announced today has great opportunities for the province, but he declined to get involved with any debate over funding levels.
As a president, I'm always concerned about how we continue to push an agenda of priority for post-secondary education, and I'll leave it up to the political parties to debate who's got the best agenda.
Phillips says the NDP numbers are based on the government's own data and spending estimates. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And Redford also visited the Lethbridge Senior Centre today. There she announced a $500 annual senior activity tax credit. The credit will encourage seniors to pursue healthy and active lifestyles. One of the most misunderstood election campaign is also underway at this time. There may be as many as 9 people running as provincial nominees for federal Senate positions. 2 of the candidates were in Lethbridge yesterday. Mike Shake and Scott Tanas are both running under the PC banner. Alberta is the only province that elects nominees for Senate positions. Both men say it's important to have strong senators that will fight for Alberta interests.
If I am elected as a senator, I will be working for the strongest voice for Alberta, to making sure of protecting Alberta's prosperity with respect to resources.
We have to be very effective advocates for Alberta's interests and Alberta's philosophies in not just Ottawa and not just with the government, but with people who need to understand what Alberta is all about, whether they're opposition people, advocacy groups, and so on.
And during the provincial election, voters will be able to select up to 3 candidates on each ballot. The top 3 will be elected and recommended to the Prime Minister in order of their total votes. Some bad news if you're running on empty. The price of gas is shooting up in some parts of the country, and some analysts are predicting it could get even worse as the summer nears. Daryl Rummold reports on the pain at the pump.
Lethbridge fuel prices were among the lowest in the country as motorists filled up on Wednesday. Many of them worried they'll peak even higher as they set out for the Easter long weekend. Across the country, people are getting fed up with the cost of filling up. In Metro Vancouver, regular fuel is holding steady at nearly $1.45 per litre. And prices jumped nearly 8 cents per litre in the Alberta capital overnight, to what residents in Lethbridge have been paying for over a week.
I think that's ridiculous that we pay such high gas prices when we have the gas right here.
You tell me why it's more here.
Like it or not, prices are going up, and so too are the theories why.
We're coming up on the long weekends, and they start to really kill you.
Like that other guy said, the long weekend's coming up, so they just figure they can make an extra 20 cents per liter, so why not? People will still buy it. I still need to buy gas. I got to get to work.
In the end, it's supply and demand that drive market prices, but it's still leaving analysts a little confused.
You want answers about rising gasoline prices, and there are not many to be had.
What they do know are the factors that go into setting consumer prices. For starters, OPEC's decisions on how much to invest and produce, the economics that govern supplies of non-OPEC conventional oil, and the supply of unconventional oil forms like those from the oil sands. And finally, world demand on oil, which on a long weekend tends to run high.
Why are we paying these outrageous prices? The people of Alberta own the oil that's in the ground, and yet, this is not right, I don't think.
But as fuel prices continue to climb higher and higher, it's evident that drivers will be paying closer attention than ever to the one thing they can always count on to get a little bit lower, their fuel gauge. Daryl Rummelt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And analysts are also predicting gas prices will jump south of the border. An inspector with the Lethbridge Regional Police Service says it's like deja vu. Jeff Cove and 2 other Lethbridge police officers are in Dallas attending a law enforcement conference. Yesterday, the area was rocked with violent storms and a series of tornadoes. You can hear those warning sirens blaring as Cove captured this video from outside the conference area. He says it was terrifying to hear the sirens going off, the winds howling, and that rain pounding on the roof of the building. The group is staying about 1 kilometer away from where one of the tornadoes touched down. In 2010, Cove and his family were camping at Pine Lake when a deadly tornado hit. That was in year 2000. He says it's a frightening experience no matter how many times you've been through it.
It was interesting because the presentations are just going on like normal, and you can hear the sirens outside, the rain just pounding on the roof of the center, and it was very distracting. And I thought I'm a good note keeper when it comes to these conferences and whatnot. And we're sitting there this morning. I said, "Look at this! I didn't make a single note while that was going on. I was so distracted by what was going on outside."
Now, between 6 and 13 tornadoes touched down in the area, destroying about 200 homes. Thankfully, no one was killed or seriously injured. Right now, let's take a look at today's markets.